I got Korean. Do you?
In this lesson, we'll learn about 은는, used for comparison, and 이가, used to emphasize the subject. Before we start, if you're not sure about the difference in form between and 는, or 이 and ga, I recommend watching the previous video first. First, let's look at an example of 은는, used to show comparison. This sentence compares puppies and dogs. Both subjects use 은는. This sentence compares what Minsu likes and what Jonga likes. We use 은는 when making comparisons like this. Since the sentence compares girls and boys, both use 은. If you watch the previous video first, you might be confused at this point. Now, let's go back to the main point. Let's take a look at this sentence. When explaining complex sentences, we said that not all subordinate clauses must use 이가 for their subjects. One of the exceptions is when making comparisons. When making comparisons, you should use 은는 after the subject, even if it's in a subordinate clause. That's why in this sentence, we say 정하는. Now, let's quickly check the priority between 은는 and 이가, and then move on to the next two. The priority goes in this order. Comparison complex sentence first mention. Let's go over some example sentences to help organize and review this content. While crows can fly is a subordinate clause, but since it's a comparison, we use 는 after 까마귀 when saying it in Korean. In English, we use a or an for something new, and in Korean we use 이가 to mark the subject when it first appears. It might seem a little long, but don't worry if we break it down. It's actually easy to understand. All right, let's take a look. We added 이 to main character because it's mentioned for the first time. And even though he was already mentioned earlier, we used 가 again because he appears as the subject in a subordinate clause. Let's keep going. Even though the plot is mentioned for the first time, we use 는 because it appears after, while, and is being compared to the main character. Now that we've looked at some examples, I hope things are clearer for you. Next, let's look at how 이가 is used for emphasis. When you want to emphasize one thing among others, you use 이가. For basic comparisons, we use 는. However, just like now, when you want to emphasize something in particular, you use 이가. Let's take a quiz. We use 는 here because we're comparing Minsu and Jisoo. We use 이 here to emphasize this book. We use 은는 here because we're comparing Eugene and Minji. This sentence is not a comparison, but a simple complex sentence. That's why we use 는 in the main clause and 이 in the subordinate clause. Because the cat is being mentioned for the first time, we say a cat in English and 고양이가 in Korean. Because the cat is being mentioned for the first time, we say a bird in English and 새가 in Korean. Since the cat was already mentioned earlier, we use the in English and 는 in Korean. Cat and bird were already mentioned before, so we can use 는. But in this case, since we're comparing their actions, we use 는 with both 고양이는 and 새는. Did you get them right? Shall we try again? You're almost mastering the difference between 은는 and 이가. Great job. You're getting the hang of how to use 는 and 이가 correctly. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. In the next video, we'll learn about how 은는 is used to indicate a topic and how 이가 is used as the subject that goes with a verb. Have questions? Leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching Got K. See you next time.